Lonnie Chat. I'm Dr. Tom Kerpus over at Georgia Tech, and we're going to be talking about some pretty cool stuff today. Let's see if we can find our friend and colleague, Dr. Lonnie Love from Sandia National Laboratory. Lonnie, and you got Jason here. Why don't you do a little introduction?
Sure. So a little bit of background. So when I moved...
Time out. If we're going to go the whole big, long background, before we introduce Jason, let's bring on our cast of colleagues and friends. Let's see if we got his... I think we got Dr. Cyber Kyle Salibi. There he is. Cyber Kyle. Hey. Welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone.
You guys might start to figure out what our theme for today is. But before you think even further, let's bring on, let's see, is Stephen LaMarca there?
Hey, guys.
And he's got some Caterpillar stuff behind him. All right. Now we got our usual crowd. Now let's meet our guest today, Jason Payne. Lonnie. Oh, wait, no.
Hi. I heard this was happening today, so I decided to beam down.
MC. It's MC from AMT. I love it.
This is a special episode in dedication to MC.
Thank you.
A little background is when I moved from Knoxville to Albuquerque, MC got so excited. She's like, there's aliens out there. And ironically, I've shared with her a picture. I'm driving home from work one day and I see coming over the mountain this UFO looking cloud. And I'm like, okay, we're going to have to do an aliens in manufacturing episode. And so I'm going to Arizona State, and I'm going with my good friend, Jason Payne. And we're just joking around. And he says to me, well, I know the real story behind Roswell. And so we thought, aliens manufacturing, this guy can help educate us on all the background of the great technologies that have come out of Sandia because of the aliens that are running around here. So we figured that we would have him on and give us a little bit of his background. So Jason, welcome.
Thank you.
If you don't mind, just give us a little bit of background on yourself. What you do here that you can share that you do here. and then if you don't mind, share your story. I think it was awesome.
Sure. So Jason Payne, I am a New Mexican and love that history. I love my state. I grew up in Farmington, New Mexico in the northwest corner, had great high school teachers. I feel I'm a product of the STEM efforts of my state. I feel my teachers, my state saved me from a life of law or law enforcement, which is
being chased by law enforcement, which is what Tom and I try to avoid.
In general.
Yeah. So anyway, went to earned a bachelor's degree at New Mexico State University in electrical engineering, master's degree from Arizona State, and I am an RF engineer, radio, radars, all things RF. So very, very happy to be on the show today. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, like I said, really appreciate it. So you shared with me. So again, in this area, it's like Roswell is right down the street. Lots of history. And can you share with us the story you kind of shared with me when we were in Arizona State about what is the real story?
Sure. So I'll just a little more background about me. I'll tell you a couple of materials, comments there. But again, I had just wonderful high school teachers. I had a high school teacher. She's passed away now, Debbie Prell. And she worked at a laboratory in New Mexico called Langmuir Laboratory for Atmospheric Research. It's run by New Mexico Tech outside of Socorro. They trigger lightning on a 10,000-foot mountain peak. And this teacher scored for me one of the best jobs a high school kid could ever have. So I went from being a sandwich artist at Subway to helping bring down lightning for atmospheric research outside of Socorro.
Very cool.
Very, very cool. So anyway, go ahead.
Shocking.
Yeah, shocking. So, just a couple of materials highlights, and you'd in essence put up a 3,000-foot lightning rod, use a rocket to fire up a wire, and in the middle of a thunderstorm, and I don't know, 1 out of every 5 times you would trigger lightning, and down it comes, and you'd do science. Awesome. Very, very cool. My job was as the high-speed photographer. So I would flip a switch, wind about 1,000 feet of 16 millimeter movie film past a lens in about 8 seconds and image this lightning going up and down. So I was fascinated there by the material properties of we used decommissioned surface to surface missile wire that would not break and would extend 3,000 feet up and bring down lightning. One of the experiments while I was there is trying to make Buckminster fullerenes, buckyballs.
Cool.
Which occurred naturally in fulgurites, which is what happens when lightning fuses soil, and buckyballs have been found there. So that was one of the experiments while I was there.
Very cool.
So anyway, the story, traveling with Lonnie, just talking about New Mexico history, say, hey, Lonnie, I met the guy who caused the Roswell incident.
And it wasn't Tom, right?
It wasn't Tom. Kyle's too young.
Kyle's too young. Now, Stephen, maybe you were involved. I don't know. So carry on. This is awesome.
Yeah. So, what a wonderful place. You're living at 10,000 feet in the mountains. You're a high school student in my case, or a couple grad students. And, all the students lived on this mountaintop full time. The scientists would come up and down from Socorro every day. And, we'd have radios. There'd be the people who were the lucky people to sit underneath angle iron with a bit of styrofoam. They would crouch inside this angle iron and styrofoam, get out a blow tube, blow in this blow tube in the middle of a thunderstorm. This blow tube would be connected, it's plastic, right? Non-conductive. It'd be connected to the base of a model rocket that would fire up and bring down the lightning.
Wow.
I did not get that job. That's for grad students. They don't do that to high school students. I photographed it from a distance. But anyway, on the radio, we'd radio back and forth 10, 9, 8. We'd be watching the electric field, get ready to fire the rocket at just the right time. So we have this radio communication around the mountaintop. And on a regular basis, there was an elderly gentleman on the radio who would make comments, give out orders, and it would go away. And I finally asked around, who on earth is that on the radio? Oh, so that's Charlie. Yeah, you ever met Charlie? Like, no, I don't know who that is. And so anyway, there was a get together at Charlie's home on a weekend. So, that's exciting for the grad students, the high school students, to go down to the thriving metropolis of Socorro, New Mexico, and go to a get together. And I got to meet Charlie. And, so this is probably the summer of 94 or so, 1994.
So how old was he at this point in time?
I would guess in his 80s.
Yeah.
Upper 70s, lower 80s. Yeah. Would be my guess. I think he passed away. Yeah, actually, he must have been a little younger than that. But anyhow, Charlie, we're having this party and sitting around, and he just laughed and laughed and laughed. Somehow in conversation, it came up that he caused the Roswell incident. And so, of course, that's a big
just
deal.
Happens, right? That just happens in Yeah. I caused I was the reason the Hindenburg went down, the Titanic, and I caused Roswell. So what triggered that? How did you guys get him? Did he just kind of blurt it out?
He just blurted it out. And, so the question is the program that he was associated with, I'll have to do the math and look at the history, but he was associated with a program called Project Mogul. At the time, top secret, and I think top secret all through the Cold War, and it was probably declassified right around the time I was speaking with him. I don't know if he was divulging secrets on his, during that time or not, but I'll just, I just looked up Charlie just a little bit, and we have Georgia Tech friends on the line here. So, hey, how many years does it take to get a bachelor's degree at Georgia Tech? I don't know. So Charlie, born in Maryville, Tennessee, started college at Georgia Tech in 1940.
So he was from Maryville, Tennessee. Went to Georgia Tech. Mm-hmm. Wow. That explains a lot, Tom.
Yeah. So 1940 Georgia Tech, the war breaks out, and he went and helped with weather for the Army Air Corps in the China, Burma, India. Got back, finished a bachelor's degree in chemical engineering in 1947. And he was really one of the chief pioneers in modern gas balloons, it turns out.
Okay.
And so the balloons used for weather research and so forth were rubber.
Yeah.
Back during that time, and presumably that's what he used during the war. But he was recruited, I believe, because of that, by this Project Mogul, this top secret project. So the basics of that project, the United States detonated its first nuclear weapon at White Sands in 1945. The Russians detonated their first weapon in 1949. So there's this massive, massive question: when do the Russians get the bomb? And so that was a very, very huge national security question. And how do you answer it? A bunch of different ways, I suppose. But at the time, one way that was proposed is, hey, let's launch balloons up near the stratosphere and listen for these blasts. It turns out that there are, layers in the stratosphere that will conduct sound globally. You might get a trip or two around the globe doing that. And so at great expense, the country launched a bunch of balloons under this Project Mogul, very top secret, to try and answer that question. 1947, we heard some of our own blasts, I understand. But anyhow, so Charlie was recruited. Hey, here's a person who, we have these rubber balloons, weather balloons, and we need this Project Mogul. Hey, here's this guy that's figured out how to use, I guess it's polyethylene.
Mm-hmm.
You're all materials experts, and so he brought what we know, kind of today, these very, very saggy balloons on the ground that get to lower pressure and fully inflate. That was Charlie's innovation.
So instead of using a thick rubber balloon, he starts looking at lighter materials.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now what happened? How did he trigger this? How did he get involved in the Roswell incident? What caused
He believes he didn't even know he caused the Roswell incident, according to his obit. And my memory from many years ago is what it is. But I don't believe he knew he caused this incident until the 1970s. Project Mogul is presumably still classified.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, he came across the classic pictures of the Roswell incident of the Army officers inspecting the wreckage. Hey, that's my balloon. Actually, it's probably the radio corner reflector, the silverized mylar-like material from his balloon. But so there was a balloon likely launched in the summer of 1947 by Charlie that finished its mission and presumably came down near Roswell, New Mexico, out in the desert. There was a rancher that found it. I believe the guy's name was Mac Bazel, something to that effect, or Barzell. And rancher hauls it in. It is the summer of flying saucer mania, hundreds of flying saucer sightings. And this rancher brings it into the sheriff. Hey, look what I've got. This is kind of a strange thing. The sheriff brings it to the Army airfield nearby. The intelligence officers at the Army airfield get a hold of it. And, of course, in national security, you don't tell anyone anything. And I suppose the Project Mogul officers saw, oh, good, there's an article about someone maybe made a comment that, perhaps this is one of these flying saucers. And then the news article heard around the world. The newspaper in Roswell publishes this flying saucer found in New Mexico. Phones ring off the hook in Roswell, and the next morning the Army publishes some reasoning behind that and claims it is a weather balloon that is the explanation for this crash. Probably a plausible explanation given some of the wreckage that was seen. And it, somewhat died out, I suppose. So the whole issue of aliens and autopsies and bodies everywhere and hiding stuff in Area 51, that's all really a product of the 70s when some of the characters that were involved in this story started to remember some extra material.
That's hilarious.
and here we are today. So that was one of Charlie Moore's balloons.
That's really cool.
So in this party, he laughed and laughed, and it just gave him joy to no end that he was the cause of the Roswell incident. And I think it's a very special thing that this special piece of New Mexico history I have a connection to, because I got to meet and chat with Charlie.
Very cool. Very cool.
That is awesome.
Very cool.
When-
I'm still, I think it's probably in the government, was it 249-page report that was released a few months ago?
You gotta speak up, MCB. I know you're trying to be like quiet about it.
Sorry. Okay. Yeah. I was trying to, my AMT smarts. I said, I think it's probably in the 249-page government report that was released a few months ago that it's not a weather balloon. But I haven't read the full report yet.
What makes a better cover story, MC?
Exactly.
Or
So
alien?
wasn't it the Chinese weather balloon that was floating around?
That's right. Yeah, last year.
Yeah.
Do you think that was the same material that Charlie used?
I would not be surprised that Charlie has a new international incident to claim to his record.
Yeah.
That makes me happy for him.
And is he still alive?
Mm-mm.
He passed away. I think it was 2010, if I understand.
Oh,
right. Yeah,
man.
March
So he didn't,
2010.
because if he was alive today, he would be saying, one of my balloons was the first kill by the F-22, which would be amazing.
Well, and the terror that it sparked throughout the U.S. It's pretty
That's
pretty
right.
impressive too.
Well, so you said something that I want to. You said that he had. So you had the Mylar, and then you said he had. There was like silver ink on, or you said something about silver.
So a lot of this wreckage, and again, you could see some of this wreckage in the original photos, with the Army officers, but there are, wood-like, stick-like structures. There's metallic-like structures.
Yeah.
So these are the reports, right? Metallic-like super material structures. We in our day we think of metallized mylar.
Yeah.
Vapor deposition on mylar, something like that. Is that what Charlie used? I'm not sure if it's the same material system, but let's just think about someone who'd never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
1947 in a room. There's this super thin, like tinfoil, a whole lot more thin material. There's sticks of like balsa wood looking stuff, and then there's material that like has strange like alien writings or hieroglyphics on it.
Yeah.
Very, very bizarre.
Yeah.
You can see why this rancher is like, I don't know what this stuff is. And the wreckage was found in early July of 1947. So who knows how long is it sitting out in the weather on this rancher's field?
Yeah.
But here's all this material. You can see these photos of the Army officers inspecting this material.
Yeah.
And I would think if that were me, it'd be quite bizarre.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Any other questions?
Yeah, no, I do think, I hate to burst your bubble there, MC, about the whole alien thing, but frankly speaking, I don't see why aliens would really spend a lot of time here on Earth because it's only got one star, right? So.
Oh, that's so good. That is so good. The Airbnb reviews have not been kind.
Sorry about that. That's the best I can do on sort of that. No, but I think it's very cool, and I know we're sort of up sort of to the top and so forth. But one of the things I'd like to do, besides manufacturing all these great rumors and so forth, a lot of what we're looking at now in terms of a lot of the work going on in manufacturing, two big things, right? In terms of things that are flying around. One is high temperature and the other one is lightweight. And so we see a lot of that going on. And again, by the way, I think there's going to be some pretty cool stuff over at IMTS looking at machining some of the high-end high temperature material. What's our favorite material? Inconel, yay, right? But nickel-based super alloys, and then some of the lightweight stuff. So the titaniums, composites are coming up. So there's going to be some pretty cool stuff, out there. I don't know. Lonnie, got any good stuff going on your end with composites, titanium, whatever?
Absolutely. Well, like I said, I think so this is what really is exciting is that think about all the stories that have revolved around one experiment that was being done in New Mexico during the height of the Cold War, and just trying to understand what's going on. And they were using advanced materials at this point in time, very much advanced materials that people were really perplexed with. And so what I get excited about is a lot of this national security needs really push the limit in terms of materials and manufacturing. And like all the work right now in hypersonics is really exciting because you need things that can be very lightweight, like you said, Tom, things that can be that can handle extremely high temperatures. And what's interesting is you probably are going, well, there's probably going to be some failed experiments somewhere. And it's like, what the heck is this? What is this? A magical material? And that's what's really pretty exciting. And then the spillover that'll come from it is like a lot of people talk about, like the NASA shuttle program. There was a ton of great materials that were developed to try to address some of these problems that then impact a lot of other applications. So I'm pretty excited. I think the tools there are tools we need that don't exist to handle these materials. Right. And that's where things like IMTS, where we can discuss needs, and then you have the brilliant minds in the machine tool and the manufacturing industry, and they help solve these problems. I'm pretty excited.
And to Tom's earlier point, you just described Inconel. Inconel was patented, I don't know if it was patented, but it was officially announced that it was their thing, Inco's thing. In 1932, it became a real thing. And 90 years later, we can finally work with it thanks to additive. So
we could print it, we could machine it. But, it's interesting. I mean, the thing that makes it so great at high temperatures, and by the way, to me, it's just we are talking aerospace, but, some of these engines, high performance jet engines, they're using, Inconel blades and so forth. And in fact, what's really crazy is some of the designs, you can go look this up, some of the designs for the high performance engines, they are operating the engines at temperatures that will melt Inconel. So think about how you might build a blade and run an engine that's operating at a temperature higher than its melting point, and again, you get back to all the cooling channels and so forth that are either printed in there or you use your die sinking EDM and so forth. So all of that technology is going to be over to IMTS, which is just cool.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. So the whole thermal management, it's like an area that I think could be really interesting is like, and this is where additive really can shine, is multi-material. So can you start to blend materials to give you better performance and be able to do thermal management by combining things like Inconel with copper? Inconel can handle really high temperature, but it's not really good at thermal conduction. So can you blend the two together? Or phase change material? Can I print something that can handle really high temperatures, and then have a material inside that actually will absorb the heat, phase change? It's crazy what manufacturing can enable. And this is what's exciting, is that I think that as these new manufacturing tools come out, it will open up tremendous opportunities for the engineers of the future.
And I know we're talking about aliens today, but I mean, we get into the realm of science fiction here almost. I mean, how many movies are out there? How many books are out there from the 70s with these insane technologies that are starting to matriculate down? I mean, now the little pinch, right, where you speak in one language and it comes out in another. I mean, that's straight out of the Douglas Adams Babelfish in your ear. I mean, there's just so many cool technologies that are coming down that you think is relegated to science fiction.
There's one that I haven't figured out, and it gets to the hypersonics, which is watching Top Gun Maverick. It was really good watching him change from regular engine to scramjet. How the heck did he survive going Mach 10, ejecting out of that aircraft? That one I don't understand.
I did wonder that too.
I'm sure you did, MC. Yes, I was thinking about that.
I did. I saw it twice. I do have something funny that kind of dovetails with what you were saying. So I was just at Epcot. Stephen and I were down in Florida for an AMT MFG meeting, and for our trade show committee, we did a benchmarking excursion to Epcot. And then I went back with my son, Max, who's now I work at AMT. He wants to be an engineer. And Stephen is his number one. He loves Stephen. Anyway, we go on the Spaceship Earth, which my cousin actually helped did the interactive gaming part of it. So after it, I texted my cousin, because if you finish Spaceship Earth and it's all about the future and what's to come. And then at the end, you go through this kind of like little experiential area. And I look over and it talks about, the future of tomorrow. And the future of tomorrow are autonomous vehicles, high-speed trains, and electric airplanes. And I texted my cousin, I'm like, I think these need to be redone because we haven't. We're there. Yeah. And he said, yeah, those were done 20 years ago. But that's what they thought, just like you're saying 20 years ago. And 20 years ago wasn't that long. And it's here.
I was thinking, no air fryers? Come on, man. I mean, how do you get that frying thing without the oil? But, to Kyle's point about sort of what was it on Star Trek? The universal translator, right? My phone just got an upgrade and I could tell it.
They upgraded to BlackBerry?
Oh no! I've done that one. No, it's my Android. But I'm sure BlackBerry can do it too. Somebody was using a BlackBerry the other day, and it did remind me of my friends and colleagues over here at the TLC. But my phone, I can tell it what the person on the other end is, what language they're speaking in real time. Where they're speaking, it'll translate to English, and then when I speak, it'll translate back to them. Now that's
cool.
Yeah.
Crazy, right? Yeah. And you think about 3D printers. Yeah, not quite the replicator from Star Trek, but we're getting there. Yeah. So, I think it's just really cool. And so when you go, I really say, look, when you go to IMTS, don't look at just the machines, but look at the software that's being integrated into the machines to drive them to do new and cool things. Because I think, we're talking to some of our friends at Open Mind and Siemens. Autodesk is another one in terms of integration and so forth. It's not just, I've got a CAD or a CAM package on my CNC machine tool. Take a look at what they are doing with that. And then you're going to look at it and you go, oh man, yeah. If I would have had that 10 years ago, my life would have been a whole lot easier. And, it's really exciting.
Oh, I thought you said if you'd had that 10 years ago, your wife would have been so much easier.
Well, my wife is also an engineer. She likes that and so forth. We were having a discussion about tool nose radius compensation the other day and how back in the old days you had to do it by hand, and now it's, like that. But we really didn't have that conversation.
But, so for IMTS, another thing, because I love this of like, we're trying to push technology forward, but a lot of times science fiction is kind of a vision for where things could go. It might, and now we look like we've been giving examples of 20 years ago, 30 years ago, what people saw as a vision. And now here we are. Well, at IMTS, you actually should have those kinds of discussions of, what are some of the things, and then let that drive the technology. You Absolutely. Can't. The thing about manufacturing is we can't have these futuristic things unless we can make them. So
I have a question.
Yeah.
I see MC's spaceship there, and I'm waving out a window, and I'm very, very hungry. Can you print some food for me, MC?
I can 3D print you a cocktail that Oak Ridge actually made the 3D printed the bar.
Yeah.
Next forum that we had last August.
You think about the revolution in biosciences, right?
Yeah.
And manufacturing and so forth. Our alien ships. What does the future look like for manufacturing food?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We have to grow it all.
Absolutely. That's absolutely. And can you have, the other thing is like, because again, all the supply chain issues that we talk about right now, we talk about supply chain in terms of mechanical materials, but food and water are huge issues. And so, how do we get to where we can diversify, and you got to do it in a cost-effective way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
I have to just one more thing on Epcot. I know it's just fresh in my mind, and I'm not sponsored by them today, but they have an experience there called, I think it's like living with the land or living on the land or something. But at the end of it, it's they have a partnership and commitment with the Department of Agriculture, where they are learning to grow vegetables, plants, herbs, flowers, all of that without soil or with minimal amounts of soil, minimal amounts of water. And it's really cool. So you go through this whole greenhouse, it's like a sphere. And they have, watermelons that are growing from vines up high. And cucumbers that are growing up, and potato. And it says that it's a whole project that talks about, because we're going to have to live with limited soil, limited water, limited resources, and how we do that. And it reminds you of The Martian.
And beyond that, it's interesting. So there are U.S. based agriculture companies. They make big green products, kind of out of Iowa, if you might think about them. But basically, they know exactly with GPS, and they're highly automated. They know exactly where the seed went down.
Yeah.
When you come back to put the fertilizer down, they can put the fertilizer right there. So you
Where
minimize the use of fertilizer and so forth. And these are typically multi-million dollar systems. They pay for themselves in one planting season because they're so efficient and they do all the right things. And again, a lot of the same technologies that we're talking about. So it's application of some pretty well-known technologies. Over to your point, Lonnie, in terms of the food, the supply chain and so forth.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, is it 5, 10 years? I don't know. 10 years is a very long time. But just like we know every component of that aircraft, whether it's there or not, or, we know the whole history of it, you're going to know exactly where your food came from. So if there's an issue, we can track it directly back to you.
Unless that's covered up.
But this gets to an interesting thought so we're coming up on IMTS. We were talking about this before we came on, to the 10th anniversary when we 3D printed the car at IMTS. Awesome. It launched a whole industry. It was a lot of fun. It was a real moonshot. I appreciate IMTS and AMT sponsoring it. It really, that kind of vision, like I said, we just had developed the process at Oak Ridge like 9 months before IMTS. So it was absolutely amazing. But what a lot of people don't realize or don't know is soon after that, we were approached by ConExpo, the Construction and Ag Conference that's in Vegas. It's kind of like the ag version of IMTS, and we 3D printed an excavator. Wow. This discussion is really interesting because is there emerging between ag and manufacturing? Are there things that we're doing in manufacturing that agriculture? I guarantee you every agricultural piece of equipment is manufactured. But are there things that we're doing, and to your point, Tom, in terms of tracking of our food supplies, we're doing that already in terms of manufacturing. Wouldn't it? I think it'd be really interesting if we start to look at those two major conferences, and are there places where there's an intersection?
No, that's true. There was a piece, this might be obvious, but a coffee farm down in Colombia, but that's using all the automated, and they're using robotics and things like that to pick the beans because they don't have enough workforce.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. All my family were farmers in Oklahoma, and I'll tell you, it's kind of spooky. I remember as a kid, I was lucky I still have all my fingers and hands. You lose it in a farm, and you can lose it in a machine shop, right, Tom? Tom, you had something to do with a machine shop at one point in time.
I did. I might have grown up in a machine shop, but I still have all 10 digits here. Anyways, no, it is amazing, and I think we're going to see. And it's just some great technology, and again, IMTS. Going to be a great show. I do want to point out, and MC, make sure I got this right? But I do believe Tuesday, right, the 10th of September, at, let me see if I got this right on my calendar here. Is it 1
o'clock? Yes.
1 o'clock Tuesday. So Tom and Lonnie chat will be live. I think we have all of our friends out there, right? So MC, you going to be up on the stage?
Oh, I don't know. I think it definitely Stephen and Cyber Kyle.
Cyber Kyle are going to be there.
You all, and it's you. The Tom and Lonnie chat is going to open the Job Shops Conference, the IMTS 2024 Job Shops.
I think we've got to get the big cheese there, right? The CEO. Are we going to get Doug Woods?
I think you might be able to.
Awesome.
I think we better do that. Yeah, that guy, you put him up on a stage. You put a stage in front of him. He's up there. So I think life is good.
And we might be talking, well, not we, you all, maybe, talking about, the automation and what's to come and what, again, because this is tailored for job shops, and what they should be doing now.
Yeah.
Can be doing.
And there's a lot of stuff out there. It's easy, it's easy to use, easy to integrate. It really helps out. And so, and I think it's really getting to the point where if you're not using this new technology, you're really losing out.
Yeah.
Anyways. All right.
It also helps, with the next generation. They're all about the cool and all about the technology.
And by the way, it's as easy to use as your smartphone. So if you're using things like Google Maps and so forth, you should be able to use some of this new technology. I don't want to hear this stuff. Well, I miss the good old days with my paper tape and all that sort of stuff. So.
Awesome.
All right. Hey, Jason, thank you for sharing with us.
Thanks for
coming in.
Yeah.
It was fun.
It was a pleasure. I have a final comment for you, if I may.
Please.
So, you may have heard of the Drake equation. It's possibly in a large number, astronomer figuring out, hey, how many other living intelligent life is in the Milky Way, right?
Yeah.
And my daughter was looking for a science fair project. So I asked her, hey, why don't you use the Drake equation, add a few more terms to it, and can you calculate how many other fourth grade girls are in our galaxy bored trying to get a science fair project done? You didn't take me up on it.
No. My son will. He'd love to do that one.
Oh, man.
Awesome. All right. Well, again, thank you very much.
Thank you,
Jason.
Jason.
thanks,
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It's an honor.
And then we'll see everybody next month. And
Yes.
again, make sure September 10th, that's Tuesday of IMTS.
You got it.
1:00. We want to see you there. We want to see our fan base there. It's so good. We never get to see you. We want to see you.
Absolutely. And it's a great lineup.
Awesome.
A lot of automation talk on that for the job shops. Thank you all so much.
All right.
Thanks a lot,
Stay
guys.
safe, everybody.
Bye.